Thanks for joining us for the program. The AM News now. Trade and Industry Minister Hammond is going full override, defending his latest controversial proposal to regulate the prices of cement in the country. Attempts to lay the document in Parliament yesterday was blocked by the NDC MPs, who insisted the LI must first be discussed. Speaking to journalists in Parliament, Hammond insisted this law is necessary to prevent a cartel of cement manufacturers from fleecing the public. There's more in this report.
This is the second controversial legislative instrument that Kobnata Hammond, the Minister for Trade and Industry, is seeking to lay in Parliament. The first one, seeking to restrict the importation of sugar, rice, among other things, failed after significant public backlash and opposition from the NDC MPs in Parliament. This new one is expected to regulate the pricing of cement. And Hammond has now been mounting a spirited defense for that legislation, insisting there is a cartel brewing within the cement manufacturing space, and only a legislation is needed to stop the high prices of cement in the country.
For a long time, you never see cement prices de-escalating. It's always escalating. It's always going up through the ceiling, through the roof, and towards the skies. Somehow, something has to be done about this. But I think it behoves on those in responsible positions in authority to ensure that the good people of Ghana are not fleeced. I am not comfortable. I don't believe that we're getting good prices for all that it's worth. I think there's something fundamentally wrong with the pricing of cement in the country.
On Joy News on Tuesday, the Chamber of Cement Manufacturers did tell us that he had not been consulted by the minister or his ministry. Today, Hammond has been offering a certain understanding of the engagement he had been having with the cement manufacturers prior to putting this LI before Parliament.
In my absence, I was told that the minister wasn't going to be able to do anything. They would not listen, they wouldn't do it, they would go the way they want. Well, I have only one other avenue. I mean, encouraging them to do it is a moral persuasion. If moral persuasion fails, there is a system in the country, there's a constitution, we operate by rule of law. You come to Parliament and then you ensure that there are laws.
Hammond also explains that this LI does not seek to impose prices on the cement manufacturers, but that there will be a committee, including the cement manufacturers themselves, to discuss and impose reasonable prices on the prices of cement in Ghana.
The LI is to this extent. The committee would sit down with the manufacturers and then they would determine, a roundtable discussion, determine what is it that is a reasonable price for a bag of cement. And of course, in doing that, they're going to take account of all the factors. We're not simply going to dictate to them, sell it for 20 cedis, sell it for 10 cedis. That's not how it's going to operate.
This LI is yet to be laid in the House. If it is laid, it will mature into law in 21 sitting days. The minority already say they should go through the pre-laying stage. There must be proud discussion with the minister, with the Cement Manufacturers Association and other stakeholders before enacting this into law. Hammond already insisting that that pre-laying procedure is alien to the Constitution of the Republic, and as far as he's concerned, his LI should be allowed to be laid in the House. The Speaker of Parliament has given the Subsidiary Legislation Committee a few days to discuss this LI and present a report to the House ahead of a possible laying of this document. Reporting for Joy News, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
The Trade and Industry Minister revealed that cement manufacturers can face up to 3 years in jail under proposed legislation to regulate prices. He's been speaking exclusively to host of PM Express, Evans Mensah.
If they decide not to comply at the peril of the penalty.
What penalties are you proposing?
Well, it's pretty hefty.
Well, that's what I would like to know, yes.
No, I'll tell you, 3 years imprisonment, or both, of fine and imprisonment. So, yeah, a person who contravenes what I've just indicated to you is liable conviction to the penalty points. We're talking about 2,500 The unit point, I think the multiplication of 12 or something is 2,500 penalty units. You convert that, I think it's 12 cities or whatever. So how much that one comes to is the fine. And then maximum 4,000 penalty units. Or that's what see, these companies, they are big ones. So if you limit them to fines, they will easily pay the fines and then come back and replicate the same whatever they want to do. So there's a stiffer one here. Now, imprisonment of not less than 2 years, and of course not more than 3 years, or both, fine and distance. But we don't leave it at that. You know, corporate responsibility and corporate whatever. So you well be thinking that, well, you can't put a company into prison. And so we go on to make clear that if it's a corporate...
Who specifically suffers this?
So we have it here. In case of body corporate, every director and officer of that body corporate is deemed to have committed that offense, if it is...
Mr. Hammond, yes. You are proposing to throw people in jail for pricing a commodity above a ceiling. That is... Well, that is backward.
That would respect
in an economy
it's
such
absolute
as ours.
nonsense. Don't worry so much about somebody going to jail or whatever. Why do you have to go to jail? Well, there is a commandment in the Bible, don't steal. It's there in our code, don't steal. If you don't steal, you go to prison. But why so I'm not worried about, why are you not worried about those things?
Why don't you simply fix the economy?
You see, again,
which is a fundamental point.
Again, wait a minute. How do you fix the economy? We say we are not fixing it.
In other stories, striking medical doctors at the oncology units of the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital have returned to the consulting room after 2 days of failing to attend to cancer patients. The health workers embarked on strike to register protest over delayed installation of an essential equipment in the diagnosis and treatment of patients. But management of Komfanochi Teaching Hospital has insisted it has demonstrated enough commitment in procuring the water phantom needed to calibrate the linear accelerators used for administering targeted radiation therapy. Hospital spokesperson Kwame Frimpong indicated it will take time for the hospital to take delivery of the machine despite proof of letters of credit to its suppliers. The striking doctors have decided to shelve their action after leaders of the Komfanochi Doctors Association and the Ghana Medical Association held a meeting with the hospital's management.
Tonight, the leadership of the Komfanochi Doctors Association and then the Ashanti Regional Division of the Ghana Medical Association notified management that the striking doctors at the oncology directorate wanted to meet management. And in line with management policy of open door policy, it agreed to meet them this morning, and they came, they met management, and they raised a number of issues which management identified with those concerns. And the assurances were once again given to them as to the steps that were being taken to address those concerns. And on the basis of that, they've resumed work. And see things for yourself. They are attending to patients as we speak.
Still on issues of health, health experts are warning of a looming disaster bound to happen if urgent measures are not taken to mitigate the exponential rise in non-communicable diseases in Ghana. They fear the country could face a significant health crisis with conditions such as diabetes, hypertension, and cardiovascular diseases. Over 600,000 cases of hypertension are recorded annually. To prevent this scenario, experts are calling for comprehensive public health strategies. Here are excerpts of our latest hotline documentary, NCDs, The Silent Epidemic, co-produced by Emmanuel Jivenu and Seiram Abla de Souza, highlighting the cost burden on individuals, the health system, and the national economy.
Non-communicable diseases, of course, have been around for a long time, and it's traditionally or historically been a problem for high-income countries. A few decades now, we've seen a shift in low and middle-income countries such as Ghana, South Africa, Zambia, and so on, where non-communicable diseases are beginning to increase. I
think that it's about lifestyle transition. As societies are moving from low income to middle income, lifestyle changes, and due to those lifestyle changes, it comes up with those sort of diseases.
A silent epidemic is sweeping through Ghana, affecting millions of lives. Non-communicable diseases, or NCDs, are a growing threat to global health, and the cost burden is staggering.
If you ask me as a clinician, one condition I fear most, in fact I fear diabetes even more than cancer, because once your sugar is so high, it affects virtually all tissues, all organ systems in the body.
The World Health Organization reports that NCDs account for over 30% of deaths in Ghana, with diabetes prevalence doubling in the past decade and affecting around 6% of the population. Also, hypertension, often undetected until complications arise, silently impacts over 1/3 of Ghanaian adults.
About 612,000 new cases of hypertension alone are diagnosed every year. That is quite consequential in terms of the financial implications.
It's like a ticking time bomb, and if we don't address it, it's going to be catastrophic.
In this documentary, we uncover the human stories behind these statistics and explore impacts of NCDs on the affected persons, the family, the health system, and the national purse.
NCDs, the silent epidemic, airs on Monday, 1st July 2024 at 8:30 p.m. on the Joy News channel. And from our election headquarters, Chairperson of the National Peace Council, Reverend Dr. Ernest Edujemfi, says until the country accepts Ghana card or one form of identification, foreigners will continue to actively participate in Ghana's electoral process. Reverend Edujemfi, who complained about how a chunk of registrants in a recently held voter registration exercise used a guarantor system, argued that the country should take a firmer decision on the system of identification after this year's general elections. He spoke with my colleague Latif Idrisu following a meeting with the Electoral Commission at the premises of the National Peace Council.
People busing people from place to place. We looked at all of those things. But the reality is that until we accept Ghana card or one system as our form of registration, the figures they gave us today, 63% of those who registered within this short period use the guarantor system. That's too high. Ghana card are 39%. 63. So that whole system of busing people will continue. You bring people from a different constituency. If I think that this is my safe zone and I have enough votes, let me move people from there to another constituency. And then you go and say, where's your card? Where do you live? Somebody comes in and says, well, I know him. He lives here. How can you challenge those things? So we have to come to this point. But during our last meeting in December, when we reviewed a lot of the things that are going on, we felt that between now and the election, if we insist on some of this, it could create chaos. But immediately after the election, there's a need for us as a country to sit back and say, what is the best for us? Can we just allow people to dictate our future? They may not be Ghanaians, they may not be, but because we don't have a system of identifying them, they are here and they vote. And sometimes the politicians themselves benefit from it. So they will not allow us to do these things. But for us as Ghanaians, we must agree. What is the system of identifying the Ghanaian?
And Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jean Mensah, says the return of the opposition National Democratic Congress to IPAC has so far proven fruitful, as the party has given some valuable inputs to improve Ghana's electoral system. The NDC has been missing at IPAC after raising concerns about scheming of the posturing of the commission, which they alleged are calculated steps to collude and rig the elections for the governing New Patriotic Party. But speaking exclusively to Joy News at the National Peace Council, Jean Mensah told my colleague Latif Idrisu that as an important stakeholder in the politics of the country, the commission has had constructive feedback from the NDC, which they've incorporated in their workings going forward.
It's of great benefit to all of us that they've returned to IPAC, and the discussions have been going on very well. They've been very constructive. There has been valuable feedback that has come from the NDC, as well as some of the other parties, and we've taken those on board, and we've inputted them, and we're working to implement them in our processes. And so for the just ended registration exercise, there was valuable feedback that the NDC brought on board, and we've considered quite a number of the ideas and the suggestions, and we've taken them on board. So we continue to engage in a constructive way.
Clearly there was that rift, that friction between the Electoral Commission and the opposition NDC. How have you managed, last but one, how have you managed to oil it again, to have a fluid relationship between your outfit and the opposition NDC?
Let's focus on IPAC. I think the relationship has gone well. As I mentioned to you, there's been constructive dialogue at IPAC. Issues are discussed, issues are raised, and they are discussed in an open manner. And I did mention that the NDC has been very constructive. They've brought on board very useful feedback that has gone a long way to strengthen aspects of our work. So we believe that even as we go on in the lead up to the elections, as we discuss issues of importance to our country and to the election, we'll continue to receive useful feedback that we'll use and implement for our work.
Away from our election headquarters, many had written them off in winning their contest, but with sheer grit and determination to prevail, Zabila Senior High School has qualified to the semi-final stage of the GOIL PLC Northern Zonal Championship of the National Science and Math Quiz. The school eliminated Tolon Senior High School, Bolgatanga Senior High School, and Northern School of Business, Nobisco, who qualified to the championship with the highest score for the Northern region. The students, who were only chosen to prepare for the quiz barely 3 days to the regional qualifiers, say they are poised to make history. Emmanuel Bright-Kweku reports from Tamale.
Yamdan, Kuborige, Yamdan, Kuborige, and the surprises here at the Northern region keeps increasing by day, and Zibila SHS all the way from Boko West have qualified to the semi-finals. They beat Northern School of Business and Bolgatanga SHS to make their semi-final debut in a very long time, and we want to find out from them how it feels qualifying. They tell me they only prepared just some few days to this. How do you feel qualifying here again?
I am highly impressed, and I will first of all give thanks to Almighty God for giving us the opportunity to come from far away from Boku West district to here and qualifying. And I'm severely excited because the way the things were going, I nearly lost hope.
Okay, now help me appreciate how you are determined to make history for your school.
Okay, we are determined, all right, because we feel like we also coming from the northern part of Ghana, we can also get there. Like seeing high competition always impresses us. So we also pray to God that one day we also reach there.
For the last competition, we beat the second school with 3 points, and this time around we are beating them with 2 points again. Oh, we have nothing to say than to say we thank God, and we want God to help us so that we will reach there, we'll reach to the top level, so we can also go and compete, and at least we can make history for Upper East and Northern at large.
Okay. Because how the competition was going, it was now just in a zigzag way that I didn't know that it will go this way, but my hope was always in God, and then I believe that no matter how it will be, we'll take it, and by God's grace we have taken it.
Okay, now in terms of infrastructure, how is the school like in terms of infrastructure for preparing?
The infrastructure for Zabila Senior High School is not that of modern status, but we are doing our best. For the science, we don't have a standard laboratory of the modern nature. What we have are just facilities we are managing, but yet our students are very committed to the study of science through the commitment of teachers in the department and in the school as a whole. We have a headmaster who is very committed to making sure students excel in the program the school run. And so with the little resources we are having, we are able to commit them to good use. It is our hope that if we get the best of resources, we can even do wonderful things than we have been doing for the past years. So thank you.
All right, sure. And so these are the students and teachers from Zibila SHS, and they have qualified to the semi-final stage of the Goyle PLC NSMQ 2024 Northern Zonal Championship. They are hoping to make pull another surprise in their subsequent contests with any school they might clash with. And so these are the students and teachers from Zibila SHS. Yamdan Kuborge, Yamdan Kuborge, reporting. Okay, yeah, as they rightly said, a wise man will never get lost, and indeed they have proven that. From here in Tamale, my name is Emmanuel Brandt-Quick.
Coming up next is Business Update. Let's do some business stories. The Bank of Ghana has given the firm assurance that it has the required laws to prudently regulate financial technology firms operating in the remittance and money transfer space. This follows concerns that the country is not capturing all inflows into Ghana because of some regulatory lapses. Kwame Opong is the head of fintech and innovation at the Bank of Ghana.
I think over the years, everyone may have observed that Bank of Ghana's framework for the digital financial service ecosystem has been anchored on the banking sector. So as non-bank players came in, whether it was mobile money or the new payment service providers, they have all operated anchored in the commercial banking space. And I think also even taking a step back, remember, much of what is being discussed, clearly, if you look at the data, and I'm sure you had the opportunity to examine the data, is that there's actually no variation. It's largely consistent with the World Bank data, what we've been reporting as a central bank, and what is being reported by the World Bank. So that is consistent. But coming back to the issue of how the central bank is ensuring that there's consistency, first of all, as you know, Ghana does not license money transfer operators because these companies reside abroad and they partner with local institutions to deliver inward remittances. And over the years, that had been within the remit of commercial banks, and subsequently, fintechs came into the space on account of the efficiency that they started bringing, the costs, particularly the time that people were able to receive it, and moving away from picking up cash from the bank branches and agent branches in person to delivering a mobile money wallet. That was done with a very careful framework that is consistent with international best practice.
As a participating member of the African Continental Free Trade Area, calls have intensified for interventions and policies which will promote women-led businesses to harness the opportunities presented by the AFCFTA. In an interview with Joy Business, founder of Seed Ghana, Gifty Volim Karimi, explains that tailored policies will be needed to support women entrepreneurs scale up and compete on the global market. She spoke at the launch of the Bridging the Digital Divide for Inclusive Value Chain Development project.
Policies around social enterprising and then also registration to align this are very critical, and the government is working with the Ghana Enterprise Agency, initially getting Standard Board to approve, especially those that are into manufacturing, was very challenging, but now there is a system in place. When you work with them, they are able to waive some of the charges and you can get the approvals on time. So I think that is good, even though there's still a lot of work to be done because we still have some barriers to cross, but it's been a great opportunity to do that. I think the piece also would be looking at the fair trade components as well, so that the women can fully get acquainted with those standards to be able to compete globally in terms of the businesses that they are and the products and services they are providing.
And that ends it for business updates on the AM News. And it's a wrap for the AM News, but for more stories, log on to myjoyonline.com. Stay with us. Coming up next is the news review segment.